Today we are starting a series entitled The GOAT, okay? And what this comes from is there was a lot of discussion about who is the GOAT. Like in every sport, who's the GOAT in football? Who's the GOAT in baseball? Who's the GOAT in basketball? Who's the GOAT in this? And who's the GOAT in that? And for you guys, let's just stop for a moment. Let's stop for a moment. Who knows what the GOAT is? Like when you say the GOAT, what is that we're referring to? Okay, is it on there? Okay. So the reason why I say it is because I really didn't figure it out until like 2 days ago. No, maybe about a week ago. So I was like, they keep calling people the GOAT. Like, why do they keep calling people GOAT? Like, why is that like something that people are saying? Like, why can't they just be like, oh, that's the dog? You know what I'm saying? That's the horse. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody said it, and all of a sudden it went to my mind. Click, 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 click. And I was like, okay, I got it. All right, awesome. I'm not that smart. So you just hear someone say something, and you're like, okay, I refer to that terminology or that animal as somebody being, they're amazing, they're awesome, they're whatever. And so as I was thinking about this, there's a lot of arguments about who the GOAT is, especially when it comes to basketball. Some people are like, LeBron's the GOAT. And I just have one theory on just that subject, okay? You can't be the GOAT if you're still playing, okay? You're just good, okay? Now if you're at the end of your chapter and you're done, then we can refer to you as the GOAT, But one of the things I think that's very interesting is how we always label who the GOAT is in a particular area, not necessarily just based on statistics, but really and we try to say we do, but we really don't. But it's more based on our era. It's based on more of our moment of influence, the season that we were in. That's why a lot of people my age, who do we say the GOAT of basketball is? Jordan. Can we name someone who was a little bit older than that might be the GOAT? Most of us can't. We're like, I don't care who. Jordan is the greatest. Jordan is better than everybody else. You got people that are a little bit older that they might say who's the GOAT? Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Yeah, there you go. You start naming older folks. You start naming older people. Because why? Those are people that were in your generation. And one thing that I really want us to go through as we go through this series. I'm not really sure how long this series is going to last because we're going to go through all of Matthew, and I'm going to give you different stories in Matthew. Oh, I love you too, man. I love you too. I'm going to go through different stories of Jesus and his interaction with people and certain things in which we can grab a hold of that make Jesus the GOAT of all time. The highest GOAT, the biggest GOAT, the healthiest GOAT. I don't even know how to even keep that going right there. The most amazing GOAT. Is that as we look at this, go through this series, I want us to see Jesus as the greatest of all times, and I'm going to give us principles that line up with that and his story and the stories that we get from this to be able to grab things that we can grab every single week and say, okay, he did that, and so therefore I need to do that. Yeah. If I intend to be great inside my life, I've got to apply this thing inside of my life. So today we're looking at Matthew chapter 3, verses 13 through 17. ESV, and it says, Then Jesus came from Galilee to the Jordan to John to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me? I don't know if that's right in there. But Jesus answered him, let it be so now. And this is what I want to focus on today. This is the words of Jesus in verse 15. It says, let it be so. Okay, here we go. Let it be so. Okay, we're going to sing this. Let it be so now. For thus it is fitting for us to fulfill all righteousness. Okay? So this is Jesus. He is showing up to John's world. John's environment. John's ministry. And what John has been preaching the whole time is that I'm here to prepare the way. And so it would be the most likely thing in John's mind is that the person that I'm preparing the way for has just shown up And so my response should be is that I get out of the way and let him do what he wants to do. See, and really as we look at this story, we want to focus not on John's response, but we want to focus on Jesus' response.
That's right.
And what Jesus did is Jesus' response is in this sentence. Let it be so now.
Yeah.
What was he saying about now? Now it was his opportunity to be baptized by John the Baptist. See, let me just break this down a little bit further for you. John was thinking, this is my moment because Jesus is here, the person that I've just prepared, lived my life for. I've just prepared a season. I've prepared this crowd. I've prepared everything. And now it's my opportunity to receive instead of giving. And what Jesus says is that, yes, I have something to give you, but in this season of my life, in this moment, in now, it is not my opportunity to receive, or it's not my opportunity to give, but it's my opportunity to receive. So, John, you need to be giving and not ready to receive. And how many of us can actually do that inside of our own personal lives where we know the moments and times when we're supposed to be receiving and not giving? When we're supposed to be giving and not receiving. See, sometimes we get that mixed in and we get it twisted inside of our lives where we think I show up at home, it's time for my husband, it's time for my wife to give me. When we don't read the situation right, and yes, maybe we are in a place where we do need to receive, but maybe God has us in that moment just for us to give. See, you've got to understand that this is a two-way street right now I'm talking about. It's kind of like your bank account. How many people have a bank account here? Hope everybody raises their hand. Everyone that's over 12 years old raises their hand. Okay? So there you go. You have a bank account. What if you just always receive from it? You always receive from it. Eventually, what's going to happen? Ding, 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 ding. Negative. Ding, 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 ding. Overdraft charge. Ding, ding, ding. Another overdraft charge. Ding, ding, ding. Another overdraft charge. Because you're just giving. You're just getting, and you're not depositing. But it's the same way with people inside of our worlds. I can't ask anything of you if I'm not giving anything to you.
That's right.
I've got to give you value. How do we move people from strangers to family members? Is you give them things.
That's right.
I'm here to help. What's our mission statement? We just changed it. I don't know if we're going over this because we keep changing it. You don't keep changing, but we just changed it. Well, we really didn't change it. We just gave it a haircut. I gave it a little trim up. There's no usually like a little trim up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's a cultural thing right there. You just need to get like lined up. And this is like our church getting lined up. Is that helping people to love God, life, and people. Helping people to love God, life, and people. And if we're going to live this life the way that we want to live this life, living this life following after the GOAT, who said you shall do greater things than I shall do, and we become the GOAT for our situation, for our lives, we become the authority in what's going on, is that we have to understand that we've got to give, we've got to give, we've got to give, we've got to give, and once we reach the place of giving, what happens is all of a sudden it reverses. People trust you.
Yes.
And you can receive.
Right.
You can receive. Right. You can receive. But if people don't trust you, you'll never receive. Right. But you've got to get to a place where you give, where you give, where you give, where you give. Are you giving enough to people inside of your world? Are you giving up enough of your time? Are you giving up enough of your attitude? Are you chopping away and I'm giving this away? Not giving away what I say, I'm giving it away in how I look at life. I'm reevaluating who I am. Are you giving it away? Give it away, give it away, give it away. And I think that was a part of later on what I was talking about, but we're going to get focused. Come on, let's get focused here. Everybody go, let's get focused. Let's get focused. So verse 16 says, let it be so now. Let it be so now. Point 1. Now take advantage of the moment. Learn to recognize a moment and then take advantage of it. Learn to recognize a moment and then take advantage of it. The definition of now is at the present time or moment. That's the definition of now, at the present time or the moment. Jesus said, let us do this now. Not, hey, let me get on your schedule. Hey, let's wait on this. Hey, let's do this. Hey, I'm going to call you in 2 weeks. He didn't say, what's Shantae's favorite saying? Let's parking lot this. But he didn't say, let's put this in the parking lot. He just said, no, now. And many of us want to make the changes in our life when it's convenient for us. But how about just doing it now? You say, oh, I'm going to start that diet tomorrow. How about you just start it with the next meal? Do it now. Do it now. Why? Because the more things, the more victories you get, whether they're small, whether not they're medium-sized, whether not they're large, the stronger and the more confident you get about where you're going. It's about now. It's about now. It's about now. Thomas Edison says this. The reason a lot of people do not recognize opportunity is because it usually comes around wearing overalls and looking like hard work. How many of you guys have ever been sitting somewhere and you're like, I've got a great idea, and then you start thinking about it, and you're thinking about it, and you're like, man, that would take a lot of energy to do that. You know, and then you're like, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, it's like, you have just talked yourself out of an opportunity that is now. You just talked yourself out of an opportunity to bring change. You just talked yourself about an opportunity maybe to remove some things out of your life that need to be removed because you don't understand the power of now. Now. Everybody say now. Now. How to make the most of an opportunity. This is just something I got off online. Google it, so I'm not that smart to be able to put this together myself. But here it goes right here. I'm list them out for you. Because I'm not going to talk too much about them. But the first thing is you decide. I'm making a decision. I'm deciding to do this. The next thing you do is don't hesitate after you made that decision. I'm doing it and I'm doing it now, okay? The other one is pay attention. Pay attention to everything that is going on around you. The fourth thing is be diligent. Be diligent, be diligent, be diligent, be diligent. Number 5 is make an impact. Number 6 is be generous. Be generous, be a giver. Be someone who's generous with your time, who's generous with the words in which you use. Be generous. And the last one is imagine all opportunities. Imagine them. Imagine the possibilities. Imagine what is to come. Imagine what is, and really for some of us, we're dreamers. Like, I'm a dreamer. How many other dreamers do we have in the house? You're not, sweet. No, sweet. Because I was about to use you as a dreamer. My wife is not a dreamer. My wife is a reality checker. Okay? How many reality checkers we have in the world? Christian, raise your hand because that's you. Raise your hand. These are the people who you have dreams and you're like, hey, yeah, I'm all amazing. Like we're trying to do this Airbnb thing with our condo on Virginia Beach, right? And I'm already looking for property that we can get next, that we can invest in. I was looking at properties up in Sacramento. I'm on Zillow looking at properties back in Virginia Beach, looking at properties in here in Vallejo. There's some places that are like really cheap for sale. And I'm like, man, we could throw someone there, rent her in. I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming. You know what I'm saying? And this is my wife. My wife's just like, can we just do the first one first? Can we just, and so a dreamer needs a reality check. Like they need each other. They really do. They need each other. And I think that when we get to this moment, that this is kind of like what, John the Baptist was the dreamer. Like he's like, man, I am the because see, look, wait, and I'm gonna get to this, but I feel like I should say this right now. When you know who you are not intimidated by other people's success. When you know who you are, you're not intimidated by someone else who maybe started when you were at level B. And now that you're at A, and you kind of see them, and they're almost creeping past you, but you started maybe around the same time. Maybe you mentored them at one season. Maybe you thought, they were the person helping you out in one season. But in all of this, when they start getting to a place where they're about to pass you, you're not intimidated. Why? Because you understand who you are. Yes. When you don't understand who you are, you start getting offended. Oh, no, you didn't. Why did you say that to me? Why you do this? Why you do that? And you start getting offended by stuff that's not even going to be offended hello to you. And you're like, nah, you should have said hi to me. And it's funny, but some of us get that way. Because we get so jealous. But John is a dreamer. John is dreaming. He's dreaming. He's doing his thing that he's been called on this earth to do. He's doing it. And his cousin comes, who he knows is supposed to be replacing him. And he's like, come on, man, it's your season. Come on, man, it's your time. Come on, man, this is your moment of opportunity. Come on, come on, come on. And Jesus' response to him is saying, no. Now is the moment for me to be baptized by you. Now is the moment. Well, maybe we could do it privately. Maybe we could do like, we'll go to my house afterwards, Jesus, and we'll do it. He goes, no. It's the moment is now. The moment is now. The moment is now. Say that, repeat after me. The moment is now. The second thing that this verse tells us is this. It is fitting for us. Jesus says it is fitting for us. How many of you guys can say that about your life, where you're at right now? Or are you caught up in envy? Or are you caught up in comparison? Or are you caught up in, but they have and I don't have? But they're doing and I'm not doing. See, Jesus was in a place where he knew who he was. John knew who he was. He said, this is the season for this to be now. But he says, it is fitting. It is fitting. It is fitting. Our marriage isn't where we want it to be. It is fitting that in this season, it's where it's at. Our finances, it is fitting. My kids and where we're getting educated, it is fitting. See, because when you say it is fitting, what you're basically saying is, God, I see the big picture of what you're doing in my life. I see the big picture. God, I'm focusing not on what I'm feeling right now, but I'm focusing on where I'm going. I know it's uncomfortable right now, but I'm focused on where I'm going. I know I don't like necessarily everything about it, but I'm not going to get comfortable here, but I'm going to keep going. I'm not, I don't have that house yet, but I'm going to keep going. The opportunity hasn't come yet, but I'm going to keep going. There's this moment. See, and this is what I love about this too. When opportunity comes, your success in that opportunity is not based on what you do in that moment. Your success in that moment comes from what you've been doing the last 6 months. What you've been doing the last year. And so many times when we want to compare ourselves to somebody else where they're at, we don't want their issues because we don't want the stress that they've been under. We don't want that they haven't gone out to eat for the last 2 years in order to get a house, that they haven't done this to do that. I just think it's very, 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 very interesting. And I'm going to talk about people who aren't in this room. I'm not talking about you guys. I'm talking about someone else. I'm not talking about you guys either. I'm talking about people that don't have houses. I'm not talking about y'all neither, okay? But there are people who make more money than probably what I will ever make inside of my life. Not because of I don't want to, but because of choices that I'm making. I just don't, what I'm saying? It just doesn't equate to me having that much money, okay? And yet they have an inability to be able to purchase a house, but yet someone else who is single and probably makes about 2/3 of what this couple make, maybe even less, he has a house. It's not the house necessarily he wants, but it's a condo. And the thing is that sometimes people don't want to start at the bottom and work their way up. All they want to do is complain at the bottom about what they haven't done or what's not happening, the doors that aren't opening for them. Well, why can't I have this? Why can't I have that? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And what happens is that you actually you are losing out on opportunities. Yes. You might be uncomfortable for 5 years, but if you would have bought 5 years ago, how much more value would be inside that real estate right now? Right. With this thing, I'm going to put a link below. But if you guys want to go to our website, and there's a couple who I actually went to high school with him, and he tells a story about how they turned $20,000 into $400,000 with them investing in the Bay Area. You know, it was all about timing, but it was all about opportunity too. But also during that season, she also went to become a lawyer. And now they're almost at a place where they can not have to make any money at all, and they're living in Japan, raising their kids in Japan, raising their kids in another country, still financially moving forward. Because when opportunity comes, they were ready for it. It's about now. This is fitting. It is fitting. What I'm going through right now, it is fitting. What I'm living through right now, it is fitting. It is fitting. It is fitting. John thought receiving was where he was supposed to be at, not giving. Jesus wanted to receive, not give. Understanding of self and others. Both John and Jesus knew who they were and were able to respond to each other without feeling threatened. Humility is key when you're saying it's fitting. Humility. Humble yourself before God. Humble yourself before those that you're trying to give to. Humble yourself, humble yourself, humble yourself. It's not just about you. You're a piece. You're not the puzzle. When you understand the whole idea of humility, when you understand the whole idea that this is fitting, is you understand that you are a piece. You are not the puzzle. The world does not revolve around you. If you think that it does, you are disillusioned. You are jacked up inside of what you're thinking, how you're thinking, what you're thinking. And guess what? If you live in Vallejo or Benicia and you think that the world revolves around you, you need to go to San Francisco just for like 6 hours. Just sit there. And I can tell you exactly where to go. You need to go sit right in the Tenderloin so you can really get the mess of it. So you can walk by and you can see someone pooping on the ground, and then walk by and have someone else sit and walk right next to you who's probably making like $3 or $4 million a year. Because you need to understand this world does not revolve around you. But what does it tell us? It tells us there is plenty of opportunity out there if we're willing to see it, we're willing to grab a hold of it, if we're willing to put in the work, if we're willing to say I'm committing myself to this, and as I commit myself to this, I'm running after this with all my heart, with all my mind, with all my soul, with everything that is inside of me that is beating, that I'm going to make this thing happen. Nothing is going to happen if you sit there and you just complain. Right. Nothing will happen. Nothing. Let me repeat to you again. Nothing will happen if you're sitting there and you're doing nothing. Okay? Just very recently, looked at my stock portfolio. Don't have a lot of money in there. I really don't. But since the beginning of this year, since January, I paid $4,000. But that's not based off an investment that I did now. That was investments I made 10 years ago. And just kept in there. But since January 1st and now, I've made $4,000, but it's not the nothing. It was the sacrifice of yesterday that's going to enable me to be able to move my finances forward for tomorrow. But if you never take the moment to understand I've got to make a sacrifice, it says stick to the plan. Stick to the plan. Don't deviate. If it's in your plan to lose 20 pounds, stick with the plan. You go to In-N-Out. In-N-Out, what do you call it? Protein stop with no French fries. And no milkshake, please. I have to mention that because I feel like I'm giving that up. You know what I'm saying? No milkshake, please. They're like, sir, you didn't order a milkshake. I don't care. Just no milkshake, please. No milkshake and no fries. And none of the secret sauce. What? Wait, sir, you didn't order that. I know, but it makes me feel good. Like I'm really moving forward. I'm really moving forward. No. You know, if your thing is to save money, stop going out to eat so much. Ooh, and I hate that. You know who hates that? Me. You know who really hates that? Me. Wait, let me repeat that again. You know who really hates that? Me. I'm like most people that just like, and only people saying really blame my grandparents, okay? Because it wasn't like we didn't like eat at McDonald's and like what's the name a lot, you know, and maybe that's why I like McDonald's so much because we didn't eat a lot when we were a kid. But we would like go out and eat, and we would go to like nice places. You know, it used to be nice, not as nice anymore. But we used to go to like Sizzler. Sizzler was like the bomb. Yeah. We used to be in like Burlingame, one the Sizzler, you know what I'm saying? And it'd be like all you can eat shrimp. I was 6 years old, you know, all you can eat shrimp. That's why I'm so chunky right now. But it's okay. It was good. All you can eat shrimp, and it was good. And we would go to other places. We would go shop, and we'd be at Macy's. You know, we would shop at Macy's downtown San Francisco. Walk around. You know what I'm saying? There was no lack of anything. You know, there really wasn't. There was no lack of anything. There was a sense of abundance, a sense of, you know what I'm saying, this, yes, we can do this. Yes, you know, it can happen. You know, a sense of your dreams can come true. Everything is, the possibilities are there. And we need to stay in that mindset. But we only can stay in that mindset as long as we stick to the plan. Yeah. Stick to the plan. Yeah. Stick to the agenda. Keep moving forward. Keep being good parents. Young people, I don't know what to keep telling you to do. You know, keep getting good grades. You know, keep to stick to the plan. Jesus is the GOAT because he knew how to take care of the opportunities that were right there in front of him. Talking about now is the opportunity. And second of all, he's the GOAT because he said, it is fitting. Yeah. It is fitting. It's going to be all right. He could see the big picture of things. It's fitting that this is happening. You know, instead of, and maybe this is, I know this is part of, I might have to edit this part out, but I know this is part of Catholicism, where there is this mentality, and I get it, because it all drives us to confession, but there's this thing of, like, I'm doing this because God is punishing me. Like, this is happening to me right now because God doesn't like me. This is happening right, and so it becomes like this self-mutilation, this self, thing where I've got, and I understand why it's there, because then what it's supposed to do is push us to God, push us to the priest, or push us to the church that brings us back and it heals us, it puts us back together. But many a times, because of that shame, because of that guilt, because of that anxiety, because of that tension, people don't run to the church, they run away from the church. And what I want you guys to see, and what I really want you guys to understand, is that when you say this is fitting, you're not in a place where you're self-mutilating yourself, but what you're saying is this is fitting. Okay, I'm right where I'm at. It's a recognition. It's recognizing where you're at, and it's saying, okay, I'm going to take a step to the right. Okay, this is fitting. God, I accept it, but I'm looking for you to show up in an amazing way. God, I'm accepting this right now, but God, where are you in the midst of this? Because let's look at this. Let's look at this. Jesus, and I know I'm over, but I'm going to just drive because I need you guys to see the whole picture. Jesus tells John, now is the opportunity, and this is fitting for you to do this. And what we find out later is it's a fulfillment of what was said previously in Scripture, okay? So they do it, Jesus gets baptized, and imagine this. Jesus gets baptized, comes out of the water, and heaven opens. And it says the spirit of a dove descended on Jesus, and then a loud voice says, "This is my son in whom I am well pleased." See, Jesus doesn't get the pat on the butt until he says, this is fitting. This is fitting. And many of us, the reason why God can't show up inside of our situation is because we're not content with it enough to say, this is fitting. But when you say this is fitting, what you're basically saying is, God, I submit this whole thing to you. God, this is fitting. And then wait in anticipation to hear his voice. God, this is fitting. God, I have struggles, I have anxiety, I have tension. God, this is fitting. God, I don't like everything that's going on around me, or maybe I do like it too much, and it's driving me away from you. But God, this is fitting. And once you say this is fitting, all of a sudden breakthrough comes. Amen. You know, just this past Monday, Genesis and I, were you at home on Monday? Okay, you went home. So she had gone to work, and there was some stuff that had came up with people in the church, and so that kind of weighs on her. And so I'm counseling her. We had spent 45 minutes while she was at work, wasn't getting paid. But while she was getting paid, me kind of calm her down and trying to relieve her tensions about some conversations that she had with people in the church. And so I'm trying to give her perspective, right? So she gets home, and the girls are kind of like everywhere, aren't they? Kind of like everywhere, whatever. And whoa, our aunt came in and was able to take them all to the movies, so we had kind of like a whole thing, right? Where it was just me and her, right? Just like me and her. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a great opportunity for us to go to a date. Well, my wife doesn't think the way that I think, okay? She just doesn't. She just doesn't. She's thinking, this is a great opportunity for me to catch up on some things. Not on the same page. Well, and I'm not saying one page is right, one page is wrong. We're just not on the same page, right? And so what that did was that created friction, and then the very thing that I wanted to do, we didn't ever get a chance to do, which for us to go sit down and have a meal together. We never had an opportunity to do that because the place we went to was closed, and then that added to the frustration, that added to the anxiety. We went to Costco, we went to Target, we go anywhere else. I feel like we went everywhere that day. I just feel like, we're like 2 hours, okay? So we come home, and it's like we just had it out with each other. Because we're on different pages, because we're on different things. And not until both of us said, this is fitting. This is just where we're at in life. We accepted that all of a sudden the Holy Spirit came in the room, and all of a sudden we could talk to each other on the same level. And express, this is how I was feeling in this moment. She expressed, this is her saying, this is how I'm feeling in this moment. This is what I'm going through. This is what, and I didn't mean to intentionally make you feel like you're not valuable, because for me it's just all about, I see this free time as things I can check off my checklist, and I'm saying, no, this is a moment for us to connect. And all of a sudden we move from on different pages to being on the same page. Why? Because we said, you know what, this is fitting. This is fitting. This is fitting. It's not what I want, but it's fitting. It's good enough, Lord. God, it's not what I see, but God, I'm willing to submit my process, submit my pride, to humble myself and say, you know what? It's going to be okay. Let's close our eyes.